years, for more or less my entire school-age childhood, I ingrained this idea that I was worthless. And I believed it. I believed it wholeheartedly. It's not like people were telling me I was worthless, but I really knew I had something going. I really just wished I was someone else. I want to be a freak. I want to be enormous. I want to be ripped to shreds. And I'm learning all the time, more and more, how to make that happen. I get better all the time. I'm Mike Israetel. I'm 32 years old, and I'm a professor of sport science at Temple University in Philadelphia. Got my PhD a couple of years ago in sport physiology, and that's kind of the science of taking good athletes and making them better at East Tennessee State under Dr. Mike Stone. To say that I love training is a huge understatement. I love everything about training. I look forward to training. Sometimes I'll have situations where I wish I could recover from more training. In some sense, it gives me a sense of purpose that I can't replace anything with. It gives me probably the biggest purpose in my life. The process of getting better is what I'm obsessed with. Not so much the end goal, looking at yourself in the mirror between sets and going, what the hell have I created? How much further is this process going to go? It's almost the mystery that's part of the allure. I love the process of training, the process of eating. I love everything about it. There's a part about dieting that I like, even when you're suffering. The hunger, the sleeplessness, the stress. It makes you feel alive. It makes me feel alive. I look at people's meals now and I go, I wonder what they're eating that for. But I've been thinking about food as an input-output system for so long. I think, how can they do that with no purpose? The only way in this time in my life that I can see myself is an input-output machine. Input, nutrients, training, supplements, etc. Output, objective, quantifiable performance and body composition measures. That's it. That's the only thing that makes sense. And now I have the addiction of scientific eating, I have the addiction of scientific bodybuilding training, and I grew another addiction of jiu-jitsu training. I started doing jiu-jitsu, and at first it was really frustrating. I don't think anyone likes to do stuff they're not good at. I lost a lot. People much smaller and much weaker than me beat me up, just like jiu-jitsu promised. But then as I started training more and more, I started to develop a game, techniques, things I could fall back on. As I got better and better and better at it, I began to fall in love with it. But there's something about rolling, something about combat that can't be replaced. Nothing can replace it. If I don't train in jiu-jitsu for about 5 days, I start to get dreams of violence.
Mike has an unusual body type. at least for me, to work with in jiu-jitsu. Our bodies are very different, which is not really a problem, but his body is so different than people that I've worked with in the past. It's an interesting challenge for me to try and help him figure out a game that he's going to be very successful with at a high level. Mike listens. When I give him advice, we'll talk about it and we'll try to implement it right away in the lesson, and he's receptive to any advice that I have. And then he's also good about giving me feedback in a productive way about whether that advice is going to work for him or not.
There's something about jiu-jitsu that purifies me. When I've rolled, when I've bled, when I've huffed and puffed, when I've had my limbs more or less broken off my body, short of a tap, I've earned the right to be.
Mike is a super friendly, funny guy, makes everybody comfortable on the mat. With Mike, there's a lot more below the surface than what you would think.
Sometimes I get asked the question of what motivates you to do all this. When I was a kid, I had, for a long time, really pretty serious attention deficit disorder. And it was so bad that I was one of the worst students in my school. My brain didn't work well. In the 9th grade, I was formally diagnosed and I began to be prescribed medication. I managed to rise from one of the worst students at the school to probably the most decorated person in my high school graduating class, undergraduate degree, master's degree, PhD. If I'm not productive, if I don't write articles, write books, create content, develop hypotheses into theories, if I'm not producing things of intellectual value, I don't feel okay. I feel worthless, and that's the honest truth. I'm Dr. Mike Israetel, and I am the Renaissance difference.